Welcome to the ESG Decoded Year-End Wrap-Up 2022. Amanda, hello.
Hey, Kaitlyn.
I am so amazed that we have been doing this, almost 2 years now, right?
Exactly. It's just time flies when you're having fun, and it's nice to kind of catch up with you. Usually we're talking to other guests, but it's nice to be talking to you and catching up with it here.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, the one episode that you and I did, What is ESG? Our very first episode is the most listened to episode.
Hey.
So I guess maybe we should be doing more of these.
Yeah.
But no, in all seriousness, I think first we want to just start by thanking our listeners for this holiday wrap up. First of all, our listeners, y'all have been incredible. We've had incredible growth. We're going to go through some of that with you shortly. But we want to thank, in addition to our listeners, our guests. Y'all have been amazing, sharing time with us, sometimes driving out to a studio to meet us in person. And that effort is incredibly important for the quality of the content that we're putting out.
And then, of course, our sponsors as well, and our whole production team behind us, the production team, the marketing team, everyone behind the scenes that makes this happen. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yes, we couldn't do it without you. I think a lot of people are always like, wait, you have, a business and another business and a podcast, and how do you have time? It's because of all of the hard work of everybody behind the scenes on this that makes it possible for Amanda and I to show up, do an episode, feel great about it, and, not have to do any of the technical work, which is hard for us.
Exactly. We get the fun part of talking and learning and having really cool conversations with cool guests.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, so we discovered for this wrap-up episode, we wanted to give you guys give our listeners a little bit of insight into the statistics around the podcast. We find it super interesting to learn who's been listening and where you live and where you're listening from. So we thought we would share a little bit of that for this episode. And to qualify it, it is just the Spotify stats. This wrap-up is provided by Spotify. So we realized that there might be additional or somewhat different stats if you were to look at Apple Podcasts, but the Spotify wrap-up was really cool, and so we thought we would share a little bit of this with you as we go through it. So consider it an unboxing episode where we are going to look at it together, and Spotify has it all wrapped up in this nice, end of year jump in. Your Wrapped has arrived. So Wrapped meaning an episode wrap, WRAP. Still learning the lingo for all of this.
Okay, let's get started and watch.
Yeah. I think we already know our number one episode continues to be What is ESG, like Amanda said. And it has now loaded. So we created 1,103 minutes of new content. That's more than 85% of other creators in the news category. So they have us in the news category. That's interesting. Okay, so our podcast loves to travel. It was heard in 45 countries. That's amazing. Amanda, what were the top 5?
US, UK, makes sense. Bahrain, Latvia, Singapore. Thank you, whoever's living there listening to us.
Thank you. That's amazing. Really, that is super cool. And that's 5 of 45 countries. So that's pretty, I'm curious what the rest of the list looks like. Pretty far reaches.
We had 90% more listeners compared to an average week. Okay.
90% more listeners compared to our average week.
Cool.
Very nice. Oh, this is really interesting.
Look at that. Your podcast was in the top 10% most shared globally.
Wow.
That's cool.
That's amazing. Wow. And it says, here's how listeners spread the word. So 55% were sending a direct link. And the next group, 19%, was shared on WhatsApp. So that's really, really cool. Okay, what percent of our listeners follow our podcast? Is it 9%, 28%, or 18%? What do you think, Amanda?
I'm guessing 28, but I don't.
Let's see.
Dun, dun, dun. Oh, yeah. Oh, we're in the top 10% most followed podcast.
What? That is so cool. Wow, because when Drew told us from the 21 Media team, last year we were in the top 10% of the ESG business category.
Right.
But this says just top 10% most followed podcasts. That's amazing. Wow, thank you so much, everybody. This is incredible. Let's see, what else have they got here? What are ESG Decoded podcast listeners like exactly? Oh my.
I don't know. Listener personalities. Ooh. Okay. Drum roll.
Your listeners' podcast personality.
Oh, super fans.
Wow. Y'all are the enthusiasts. Your listeners are super fans. When their favorite podcast releases a new episode, they're among the first to know, going above and beyond to show their support. Wow.
That's
Thank you all so much. Wow. I'm really blown away by that.
Me too. Okay, let's see what's next.
Oh my gosh. We released 16 video episodes this year. They were in the top 20% most viewed. Among what? It doesn't say. So I'm not going to pay much attention to that one.
I don't know, but
I don't know, but that's pretty cool. Yeah. Okay, what else?
I do question whether we should continue with video. I guess obviously we should.
I know we have to get dressed for these ones. We saw a lot of gains this year. Increase of 145% in the number of followers.
87% increase in streams, etc. Wow.
Wow, that's awesome.
I knew we were generally doing good, but this is really neat to see.
This is cool. 73% more listeners, 75% more hours. I guess that's hours listened. Wow.
You and your fans have something special. Ooh, what is it? Dun, dun, dun.
Let's see. Oh, wow. We are the top 10 podcasts for 199 fans. We're a top 5 for 112 fans, and we're the number 1 for 27 fans. Who are those 27 people?
Thank you.
I think we need a giveaway or something.
I know. Oh my gosh, thank you.
And thanks Spotify for this nice little wrap up. I think I'm going to flip over to Anchor, which is where these are published to all platforms, just to also tell y'all the top episodes, because I think this is interesting. So like we said earlier, the number 1 by far, by more than half, is What is ESG? People are still Googling this and they're trying to figure it out. That's a great episode to share with your network because it's nonpartisan and it's the facts about what ESG is. The second episode after What is ESG is actually Bill Davis's episode.
Oh,
Bill,
yes.
where he explains how ESG investment products are created.
And he is so good at explaining it just in plain English, just breaking it down.
And I think that side too of the actual, people throw the word around, but we're talking about investment products in a lot of cases, and it's really helpful to hear how those are created. Let's see. The next highest, and I should be telling y'all, the Bill Davis was 624 listens. Chris Parker explaining plastic credits, 561. That's really interesting for folks that are trying to understand the environmental commodities markets, trying to understand how we can bring market-based solutions to solve these externality type problems. I think that's a really cool one. And then I will say the third, well, I guess it's the fourth after What is ESG, but I was looking at our top 3 guests, is Angie Martin. Angie with Heritage, and she discusses emergency response and decarbonization challenges in the waste sector. That was a really interesting episode. And Angie has just such a wealth of experience. But I think a lot of our listeners are, it seems to me, are interested in the deeper mechanics and the deeper issues, which is exactly what we try to do on our episodes, is to kind of dig really deep, go beyond the headlines. And it seems like that's playing out in terms of what's popular.
I love that. And listeners, if you have some other ideas of topics that you want to hear about, you want to learn about, please just tell us. We're happy to, we want your feedback of what would be interesting to hear about and to learn about in 2023.
And I'm going to have to scramble to do math because I gave the numbers for the other episodes. But since we released it twice, the What is ESG, I have to add 2 numbers together. Just give me 1 second. 1,528 listens of What is ESG. So thank you all so much.
Thank you.
We're just really, really, really grateful for the support. So Amanda, before we wrap up, do we want to talk really quickly about any final thoughts as we wrap up the year in the ESG world, or thoughts about going into 2023?
I'm really excited for kind of the guests we already have lined up for, recording in January and February. So that's awesome. I'm really excited about that. I was thinking about the different people that I interviewed and talked to. And of course, it runs the gamut on the actual topic, but I was like, what's kind of my overall takeaway? And I think my overall takeaway is there's a lot of people with a lot of solutions, a lot of good ideas out there. There's no shortage of solutions and ideas. And it's really, do we have the will to do it? And also, how can we get the financing side to line up to support that? So I'm excited to see, and hopefully more innovation in that space. Hopeful that the infrastructure bill, the IRA, is providing some of that financing and helping things get aligned. But definitely there's no shortage of solutions and ideas and innovators, and that's really inspiring to me.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think that despite how sometimes frustrating it can be to see the field of your expertise being batted around like a partisan football, which I'm sure pretty much everyone knows the feeling at this point, no matter what sector you're in, I think that actually really spurred a lot of the incredible thought leadership we've seen come out of the second half of this year around ESG as an investment thesis more broadly, but also really folks that have thought long and hard and worked long and hard in finance. Our ESG Paradigm Shift series, which to date has the episodes with Greg Watson and Rick Alexander, really getting into the deep fundamentals of how our finance system works, how we value companies and how that's changed based on economics and social science and kind of all of the fields of study that have contributed to really the shape of our capital markets. And it's been really interesting. And I think there's some of those pieces that were prompted, some of the thought pieces that have come out, not just from them, but there's a number of folks that we want to have on our podcast. If you're one of them, talk to us. Talking really about the foundations of finance and how the ESG movement is been decades in the making. And this isn't something that you can just kind of say, oh, we're going to legislate it out of existence. It doesn't even make sense, right? So if you listen to What is ESG episode, you'll understand why that doesn't make sense. So I do think that those to me were super inspiring. And for me, as not coming from a finance background, had a lot of moments where I just learned so much, or my eyes were open to a completely different perspective I hadn't thought of before. So I was really grateful for those in particular this year for my own learning.
Well, Kaitlyn, should we wrap it up for the holidays?
Sure. Hope to see you soon. Can't wait to get together with you.
Yes.
And just thank you, everyone. That's all we can say. our super fans, our enthusiasts. We're really, really grateful for you. And please do continue to give us feedback and to give us episode ideas. We're open to all of that and ready to make 2023 bigger and continue that upwards growth trajectory with ESG Decoded. So thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.